All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Psychedelic Light Show review. I'm your host, Steve Pavlovsky. I'm here with my co-host, Chris Samartich. And today we got a very special guest. We have rock photographer Derek McCabe. We're doing things a bit differently. We've always interviewed light shows and people who've done the light shows, but now we have somebody who's taken some really beautiful photographs of light shows and also help preserve our work, because a lot of times without the photographers being there, our work is just, fleeting and it's just there for one night and that's it. But, with the photographers there, it's really helps preserve what we do. So we thank them and we love them. Chris?
Okay. Yeah, sure. So Derek's a good friend of mine. I've known him since 2005, and he came out and started shooting the band, the Allman Brothers band, when I was working with them in Kirk West. And he's one of these guys that just doesn't go shoot the first 3 songs in the pit and then, the close up of the rock star. He actually goes back, usually gets a pass. I get him a pass, and he goes back and shoots the whole show, and he actually captures. So the show for me, and a lot of the stuff that you see on my websites and my Facebook pages are all shot by Derek. So why don't you take it away, Derek? Introduce yourself and tell us about your photography.
Well, glad to be here, guys. Love talking about these kind of things. And, my background is I went to school for cinematography and photography. This was graduating in the early 80s. And back then, everything was still done with film. So this is way before internet and digital. And everybody shot on 35 millimeter. And if you used really good cameras, you were shooting 2 1/4. And, it was a whole different kind of aspect. It was expensive. You had rolls of film, on 35 millimeter cameras, you shot rolls of 36. So, your jeans would be filled with maybe 10 rolls of film, and you'd get maybe 300, 400 photos max at a show. Everything changed when digital cameras came out. In the beginning, digital cameras were not as good as film. So there was a kind of a rough transition where people didn't want to use digital in the beginning. Mm-hmm. The first digital cameras were small megapixel sensors, and the color wasn't that good, and they were grainy. And so, people kind of were still holding on to film, yet, film had so many limitations. So, in the beginning, I shot a lot of shows in the 80s, stadium shows, Grateful Dead, Allman Brothers, a couple shows. But, the photos never looked the same compared to when the new sensors came out and the new cameras came out in around 2005. So people think that digital cameras have been around for a long time, when they really, the first usable digital camera was 2005. And that was the Canon 5D. And that was a 12 megapixel camera. It only went up to ISO 1600. So from the technical point of view, for people that are not familiar with ISO, that's not really a lot of, latitude for in a dark shooting environment. I would say about, it wasn't until Canon released the 5D Mark II, which was in 2009, which was the first camera where all the photographers said, okay, now we've matched film quality. And, this enabled photographers to shoot with, instead of shooting 300-400 maximum shots, you were shooting thousands of shots. Mm-hmm. And so as Chris mentioned, a lot of times, most concerts, the photographer comes in, he shoots the first 2 shows. The band isn't ready. They're not on yet. There's not really much happening in the first song sometimes. Something that's, iconic that you are going to see at the show doesn't happen in the first song, maybe not the second song. I mean, people who understand the Dead and the Allman Brothers, everything happens in the second set. So, if you're shooting in the pit, you have those close-up shots that everybody kind of sees. But, I think some of my best shots are the shots where you kind of pull back and you see the venue and you see the entire stage and you see all the players on the band. And that's where the light show comes in. So when you're taking shots, you're kind of waiting for those when the light on the stage looks just right. Mm-hmm. And then you got to grab them when they're happening. They're happening in real time. And it's like, when you're having a digital camera and you don't have that, you're not worried about wasting your film. You're going to run out of a roll of 36, and you're shooting digital. You can burst off a couple hundred shots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's check out
cool.
some of your work here. Okay, does that sound good? Okay, here we go. All right, share, and then I'm going to kick off the toolbar. Okay, so this is 2005, and this is when we're using the soft screen still with the 5K projector, and look how brilliant Derek's work is with shooting 5K. So you want to talk about this one, Derek?
Yeah. So if you notice this, you guys have the screen that was very reflective, so it was very vibrant color behind, very iconic backdrop for the Allman Brothers. Everybody loves that kind of visual look. It was, unique. You guys made it. The tempo would go to the song, and it was constantly changing. So I could sit there. I could literally take 20, 30 shots within 5 seconds, and they would all look different. Mm-hmm. And you'd have to look and go back and look and see which ones looked the best, because it was just, there was so much stuff going on at once.
Yeah.
It was hard to capture it all.
I think we even know from taking pictures at a concert or cell phones, you whip it out and you see something, you take a picture, and it's got to be the right moment, to really make the good photograph. You can just, those lights start going, and, you're like fumbling for your pocket, like, oh, I want to take a picture of this. And suddenly either they're gone, or, there's just so many variations of it, getting that right composition is, I see what you're saying about, digital photography being, really good for photographing light shows because of that element.
Yeah. Well, and you got two kind of light shows going at once. You've got the overhead lights coming down on the band, and they reflect off the floor and the amps and the instruments. Yeah. And you've got the backdrop. So you got a dual kind of light thing going on. And sometimes they're not gelling together. Sometimes they hit just right, and you got to grab it when it's up there. Right. So, you'll see some of the shots where it's a combination of the lights and the backdrop that really makes it.
Okay, I'm going to go to the speaking slide here. This is 2009 when the digital cameras got real. So here you go.
Yeah. So the first camera that was, that really revolutionized digital was the Canon Mark II, 5D Mark II. It was a 21 meg sensor camera, and it shot actually 1080 HD video as well. It was a full frame camera, which means, this was when everybody took digital seriously as the pro level of photography. And it was pretty much the death of film. Although people still use film, this is where everybody went in this direction. Mm-hmm. It allowed one of the key things was it shot in what's called a RAW format.
Oh,
so
right.
So it's very critical for photographers. So, people kind of associate my photos as being very colorful. And a lot of that is in post-production. When you shoot in RAW, you can actually swing colors. You can you can recapture and define highlights that are slightly blown out. You can open up shadow detail. You can denoise dark areas that look grainy. There's a lot of post-production that you can do to really bring out the color of photos. Yeah. And so, when people look at my work, I always tell them, 50% is taking the photo and the other 50% is editing the photo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Let's do this next shot.
Hit the next slide. But I got a question because you mentioned RAW, and I typically just shoot right to like JPEG, right? And I do the same thing where I'll like tweak the colors a little bit. But what are some of the benefits of doing it RAW? I know that the files are much bigger and there's a lot more information on there.
So here's the big thing about RAW. When you shoot JPEG, you're locking in the colors specifically into the shot. Mm-hmm. You can tweak the colors, but you can't change the dynamic range of the photo.
I see.
So when you shoot in RAW, you actually can swing the exposure. Mm-hmm. You can also swing the color balance, so you can make it warmer or cooler. And you can open up shadow detail, and you can bring out like blown out highlight detail.
Oh, wow. That's
so
cool.
In effect, you can bring almost like about a half a stop of detail back in the highlight and a half a stop more detail in the shadow. And it allows you to selectively do it.
Yeah,
So that's the key. The key is you're not doing it live. So when I shoot always manual. I always shoot manual because the lighting is always changing. If you set your camera anything on automatic, it will be fooled and you'll get not good exposure.
Right,
so
correct.
after you shoot, after you shoot a while, you start getting used to shooting in pure manual because the stage is always changing. And if you're familiar with your camera, you can quickly change exposures as needed, like instantly.
Yeah, I shoot manual all the time when I'm at the front of house.
So when you're shooting manually, the goal of shooting manually is sort of to get a middle latitude so that in post you can tweak the highlight and the shadow. If you're dead center in the middle of an exposure perfectly, you have equal amount of compensation in the shadow and the highlight to recover and bring out.
Right.
If you're whichever way you are in the middle, if you're too much to the highlight or too much to the shadow, you're missing out on that extra detail that you can capture back in post.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to go. I'm going to talk for a second because we got a lot of slides to go through. So this is a spectacular shot that you got to Warren. I think you got the expression, you got the screen, and it's just and then this other one you've done a lot of work in post. So why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, this is just like kind of like a fire effect, and the title of that one on the left there is called "Smoking Solo," because Warren's on fire, and people just like that like special effect where he's on flames. But personally, I loved the shots when the gels were going. If I'm down close in the pit and the gels are going in the background, you get that real psychedelic kind of look at behind the screen. Mm-hmm. And, that bubble look, and it all comes out really vibrant. The color is really like insane, and it just looks great.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Okay, I'm going to show this one, which is not too many people just shoot the venue sold out, and then we've got, of course, Greg, who's no longer with us. But I want I know that you shot Greg a lot, so I want to get him. I think it's a great shot. So the Beacon Theater, everybody. I mean, the Beacon Theater. What more can you say, right? I mean, the Allman Brothers are just so associated with the Beacon. It's such a beautiful theater. I used to, I literally have gone in every single spot of the Beacon to pick out shots looking back at the balcony, the mezzanine. And this is probably one of my favorite angles on that far right in the middle loge where you're looking across. And you have to hit it just right when there's enough light coming out into the crowd, and you get all that golden like light on all the paint underneath on the ceiling, on the walls. I mean, what a spectacular theater. There's a couple of great theaters in the United States, but the Beacon's up there in the top 5.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very historic place.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. So this is just some great shots of you're capturing not just the psychedelic, but the history of the band there on the left. So that's
it was, I loved when you guys would throw the history of the old band with the current band, these old photos, and everybody would really love seeing pictures of Dwayne. And, it's just like, it sets a nice frame behind the band. And I loved all these shots. There were all numerous shots of, old pictures of Dwayne and Barry, and just old shots of the band behind them as they're playing. And, it makes a kind of a before and after historic kind of essay of what's going on.
Oh yeah.
So we're using a video wall here, and it's a 15 millimeter on the one on the left, which was 2009. And then in the later 2010, 13, 14, we used a 10 millimeter that shot with O'Teal. And so I'm going to go to the next shot.
That's the one on the right. Yeah, it looks a little bit.
So why don't you talk about what you think about these video walls with photography?
All right. Well, I remember when you guys first started with the wall. The wall was the first run, was the 2000 historic run with all the guests. Right. And when you guys, when you first set it up and we were testing it before the first show, it was amazing how bright it was. It was like looking up at the sun. You guys had to literally dial it back because it was so bright that the front of the band members were like in shadow because it was like they were rear lit from behind. So you literally had to turn the screens down. They were so bright. I mean, how much did you have to turn them down?
We turned them down from Well, we were at 50% when we were doing the tests.
Even that's kind of bright.
The test day, and we went down to like 15% or 17%.
Yeah,
and that seemed to give us a nice balance. As you can see, like with the shot with Derek right here, he just looks perfectly exposed, and he looks almost 3D in the background, just perfectly floating. You can see some of the pixels in there though from the wall.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of the right's a bit better. I mean, but now like they're even getting even tighter with the the LED walls. I think they
there's 5mm Santana.
Yeah, I think they even do like 3mm for like ones like the Mandalorian, for instance. Was all shot actually in like a big LED box. I think they did like 8K resolution with like really really tiny pixels close together.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. So like none of those backgrounds or anything were green screened or sets. They were actually just a thing behind them. And it's like
the other thing they do is they put a little rear projection screen right over the top of them, which then you don't have the piercing. It just makes it all blend together. Now I don't know if on the DeLorean they did that, but they did that when I was doing the Tony Awards.
I mean, LED walls are crazy because like you're saying, you can't turn them bright. I mean, one of the problems that we've always had as projectionists, or when doing visuals typically through projections, is that you have to fight stage lights, which are so much brighter than projections. You have a solid color. It's just really nothing that can compete with one projector shining one solid color, as opposed to a digital projector. So once these came out, you can really compete now finally with stage lighting and be a bit more immersed into it. I've done visuals in the daytime with LED walls, which is for projections. It's outdoors, like in the middle of the desert, so that's something that you would never do with a projector. So they're, and you got to turn them down.
And the resolution is going so much bigger. You guys are going up to 4K, and now it's going up to 8K.
Yeah,
just the amount of detail that you guys can get. It's almost like the advancement of television. Think of it as that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, television screen technology is basically matching what you guys are capable of doing as well.
Yeah. So look, I mean, that's just a good shot. I mean, look at the stage is blue, we're red. We're working as a team there, kind of setting a different color, red liquids. Okay, let's go. We'll keep rolling here. Now here's a combination of stuff you shot. And that's the Jimi Hendrix one. And then of course, this was the really super psychedelic one up here. I think it's beautiful. So, Derek just captures for me the best. And I want to show one other shot of Derek's stuff here, which is this was the 5K projector at Mountain Jam. That's Greg Allman with my 10K projector. And this is a big blow up backstage downstairs in the Beacon Theater of the Allman Brothers that you actually, well, how did you get this to them? And did they bought it from you, or how did that work?
That was strange. So Madison Square Garden Entertainment called me up and said, hey, we need something for the green room wall. So I sent them about 10 different shots, and like, oh, we want the gold mushroom. And so the shot is it looks really good in person, and everybody loves to stand in front of it and get their picture taken in front of it. And it's an entire wall, and it's actually on a magnet, so they actually can take them off and put up a different one, and they roll it up like a carpet. And believe it or not, they do it on the outside of Madison Square Garden in gigantic mode, the same company. So if you walk into the entrance of Madison Square Garden, there'll be like a signage that they'll put for whatever the current event is. And they're basically 3 panels, and they're 12 feet wide like carpets. And they can go up, I think, about 100 feet by 12 feet wide. Oh. So 3 across is 36 by 100 feet. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. And they're waterproof, so they can be outside. They're they're printed on like vinyl. It's almost like a vinyl tent. Mm-hmm. And they glue it to a magnetic back. And so they can like put it up onto a magnetic wall, and it sticks to it.
Wow.
That's really awesome.
So it allows them to interchange it out as well. So like different events, they can change them up.
Right. That's great. Okay. We're going to move on to Dad and Company. And, so here they are, and they've got 3 LED walls there. Yeah, and this is more recent.
They've done different iterations of it. The light show is, by the way, Chris Reagan, who does the stage lighting, and Jonathan Singer, who does the visuals.
Okay,
And you did the ones previously.
I did the Dead when it was with Jimmy Herring. I was in the band.
Right in like 2005 or 6 or something like that.
2000. It was 3, 4, and 5, I think.
all
Can
right.
we go this next one? Now, this was the first one they did with the round screen in the skeleton and then the 2 LED walls. So those are great shots.
Oh yeah,
Derek. Now, hey, do you want to? Can people get your work, or you want to give a little spot on that?
Yeah,
right now?
I have a website that I sell prints on, but I'll tell you, most people contact me on Facebook. So they look up my name, Derek McCabe, on Facebook, or they look on Instagram, which is DMcCabe8. So those are the 2 places where everybody finds all my work, because that's where I usually post everything.
all right, cool. Well, we'll put a link in the description to your
Okay.
to all that.
Okay, I'm gonna just next shot's really beautiful. Singer's work on the left there, I really like.
Yeah.
Actually, both these shots, and then the fact that you got the audience in there, gives a good vibe too to the picture, I believe. And that's what I like about your
It
work.
gives
Oh, yeah.
a big depth of the room. I'm pretty sure this is Madison Square Garden, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 more of those guys. Now,
I
this
really
was
like the circular screen.
Yeah, this year was when they only allowed Singer to do a light show during the drum solo, and that's what they're doing there. And they just did close-ups of the band. And then this one, they sold out the seats behind, so they just had Chris Reagan's lights.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you still got some great shots, man. Look at that. It's beautiful. Good stuff. Okay, we're going to go to the band I'm currently working with, and there's a close-up. Hey, what do you know? But it also has a light show in it. So that's a great shot of Allman Betts band with J.D. Simo jamming out. So I think that's a great shot. I love that one.
And that's an LED wall back there, or that's projections?
That's the theater up in Connecticut. What was it? The Wall Street Theater.
Okay, I don't know if I
And
know.
it has a 14K laser projector.
Oh
Or
wow,
10K or something.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's built into it. And he came up to the show. Remember that? That was a great show.
Club, Norwalk, Connecticut.
Yeah,
All right, Norwalk.
There's another shot of it there.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And there's
really vibrant color.
Yeah, and there's my 10K Epson on the right at the Beacon.
Mm-hmm.
Just on on the silk screen thing again. So I still go back to projection, and here we'll go again. There's some more shots. Once again on the I believe all this stuff is I think the one on the left is the Wall Street Theater, and the one on the right's the Beacon again. And
so let me ask you about the with projections versus the LED wall and setup time. How much longer, if longer, does it take to do an LED wall to set it up?
When I set it up?
Yeah.
Well, usually I have an LED tech with me if I have my own, wall like I did on the Allman Brothers or they do in the Dead. So you come in with the truck and you're working with the guys, and you got 2 or 3 people just taking each panel out of the box
one by one, and they're
cranking
them together in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. And then your LED guy, that's your panel guy.
Yeah.
He's wiring it and then testing each row until you get to the next row to make sure each row lights up.
Right before you put on the next one, because you can't take it off.
And, it takes about an hour to set one like that.
Okay.
20 by 15 wall. Okay, I'm going to keep moving.
That's not so bad.
All right. So that's a great shot. And that's once again that nice projector. And then here's the same theater.
Yeah. Go back for a second. Who's that in the tell us who those folks are on the back screen there.
Okay.
It's actually the band.
Yeah.
Right.
So the bass player is Barry Oakley Jr., and that's him up there.
Yeah.
Okay. And the center guy is Devin Allman, which is not him right there. And then this guy, the lead guitarist and backup singer is Dwayne Betts.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Betts toured with me for 12 years with the Allman Brothers. He was like my best friend on the road. And this is Johnny on slide guitar, and I don't think you can see John Ginty on keyboard over there. So that's our band, and they're great.
Yeah.
And so here's some more stuff from the Beacon and from the Wall Street, and then here's of course we talk about, and you guys capture this like this is only up there of the 2 Allmans that are dead now, 2 Allman Brothers, actual Allman Brothers from 1969 or 6. This picture. I just throw it up on the screen for like 5 seconds.
Right.
A photographer.
Gotta be ready.
If a guy like Derek's like, that's the moment, boom, and he grabs it. So it's really cool. And so here's him with Samantha, which is she's in our stable. Our management team works with her, the Allman Bets.
Yeah, and that's you over at the desk.
Yeah, I'm at the Wall Street there, and then here's once again the band, and here's our drummer John Lum, and now we're gonna go to Brothers 50. All right, and this is Steve. You guys did this show, so
Yeah, I did this with I worked on the liquids with Marco Ferrero. Then the light show is actually the same guys that do the Dead. That's Chris Reagan and Singer. So
okay,
this video, yeah. Fast forward, we got the video map mushroom there.
So this you made a postcard of this, didn't you, Derek?
Yeah.
So this is your signature shot.
Yeah, look at the color at this shot. It's just like,
yeah, those lights are cool.
Yeah, man, they brought in a hell of a production for this thing. Just unbelievable. Now I like this next one's really cool too. Check those two out. Those are just spectacular. So where were you when you shot these shots here, and what were you using as far as lenses and stuff?
So literally an f2.8 200 millimeter lens from literally the back of the stadium of the Garden. And you have to get all the way in the back and up, otherwise you don't get to see the floor of the stage. If you're down at floor level, you're looking up. The stage is at least 10 feet up into the air, so you have to be up off the ground like 30. And you're looking down on the stage. So you're not going to get that feeling of the full stage shot unless you're looking down on the stage.
Right, and then you're zoomed in a little bit with that. What, 2
you have
yeah.
So do you have like a tripod or a monopod when you're shooting this long?
No, everything's handheld.
Handheld.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, really great stuff. Okay, so now this is really cool too. This next one. I mean, you got the ceiling, the stage. I mean, now who's going to do that? Not too many photographers. So tell us about this shot. These are really, really cool.
Well, this is the ceiling of the Garden, and because they actually integrate those lights up there. I mean, the circle going around the center of the ceiling is actually part of the light show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not only the stage, but it's the ceiling of the Garden. Not many venues actually have that capability.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. So Chris Kuroda, the lighting director of Phish, Phish does a lot of shows at Madison Square Garden, right? They've done tons of shows there, and eventually the guy who owns Madison Square Garden, one of the presidents or whatever, really liked it, and basically asked him to come on and become the house lighting guy for Madison Square Garden for the Knicks and the Islanders and all the all the sports teams that plays there. So he ended up getting like a full-time job, and as part of that, he installed all these ceiling lights, which weren't really there before until he came in and became the main lighting guy there.
Yeah, I've actually done 3 New Year's Eve Phish shows at the Garden.
Oh, really?
And it's amazing. It's
cool.
They not only do the full lights, they also do the balloons. So it's absolutely insane for the New Year's Eve show.
I've been to tons of those shows. So it's that's like the best place to be in Manhattan when the ball drops.
So you used to sit up in the balcony, right, at the Beacon, Derek, and shoot. Well, that's the guy that owns the Garden seats that they would give
the Allman Brothers.
Yeah, and when you wouldn't show up, you would sit. Or maybe you sat next to him some nights.
I've sat to him many, many times.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And he got to know me because I would always be there up in that front row loge, and he had 2 seats right next to where I would sit. So anytime, especially during the second set, I would go up and I would kind of hang out in the loge, taking photos, and they would show up maybe in the second set, and they would kind of look at me and like, "Hey, you gonna send me some pictures?"
That's cool. All right, let's go to this next one. All right, this is going to be a close-up of Steve's screen, which was this mushroom screen, and then the Fox Theater, which you got a beautiful shot with these deities on the side and the backlit panels, and that's in Oakland. That's just gorgeous.
Yeah, another fantastic theater that you have to capture the theater to really get the vibe of the show. People that were at these shows, it's such an iconic venue that they love seeing the venue. The venue can be just as much a part of the shot as the stage itself. I think of places like Red Rocks. Red Rocks is such an iconic venue.
Right.
The Gorge. There's a lot of places where outdoor venues where they're very recognizable by just the stage, even stadium shots. I mean, Giant Stadium is pretty recognizable as well.
Right.
And
right.
and people that go to those shows, they want to remember that was it was that show. It's not just a close up of the band from that year. It was that specific venue. So people really like venue shots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. That's what I like too. And okay, I'm going to give this next shot is I think one of my favorite shots that you did. It's you just captured that explosive moment with Warren.
Yeah, that's the psychedelic Warren peak there, right?
Yeah, down low on that neck, just hitting it, man. It's awesome. Probably like during Liz Reed or something. When he's just jamming it out hard. Okay, we got one more shot here, and it's going to be Steve's light show at the Garden with a great, color combo.
Well, it's not only my light shows. It was a team effort, but
yeah. Well, I meant your thing up there, your whatever you want to call it, mushroom.
Yeah. This is cool.
That mushroom was awesome, and just look how many lights you guys had up in there. That was an pretty extensive.
Crazy. I mean, the truss that holds the mushroom together, if you look, has lights on it.
Yeah, right.
That's where that's that blue light coming on the magenta. That's where that's coming from.
Right. So what they do is they put this like screen in there, like screen, and then they hit it with lights. And
it was crazy. There was actually, so this was first off like the last show before the pandemic at Madison Square Garden before the pandemic happened. Like literally, we didn't know what was going to happen. Like literally the next day or the day after, the mayor shuts down the city, right? So that alone was kind of crazy. Then this screen, a little bit about the trussing, was that there was actually a piece that I think was maybe like a foot long or something that had to be specially made for that truss. And it like was flown in from overseas, and like it held like the whole thing together. And if it had not come in, it would have been, like a disaster. So, basically it came in like the day before or something crazy like that. Because it's such an unusual screen. It's a custom made piece, and
people don't realize how big that is. That thing is like 50
it was
feet
huge.
tall.
Yeah, the pictures I feel like haven't done it as much justice, but because it looks so small compared to everything, but it was the brightest thing there. I mean, you'd see it at times, just hanging there above. And I've had so many people come up to me and say how they were just staring at it and all that. So that was really cool.
It was swirling color and it was constantly changing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
also notice how many lights are actually physically on the stage pointing up, as opposed to the ones on the trusses. There must be at least 100 lights on the stage.
Yeah. Chris Reagan totally killed it for this one. I mean, I've seen, awesome. Like I said, I've seen tons of Chris Kuroda shows, so he goes crazy with the lights. But he, Reagan gave him a run for his money with that one. I thought, because it was just insane. Like, the Garden looked so good that night.
Yeah. Oh, well, this one in Oakland was as elaborate as we got with the Allman Brothers. We had these mushroom-shaped trusses. You see? Kind of see them there.
Oh, yeah. You guys had like little ones, right? Like little mushrooms or something? Or?
Yeah. And then you guys would fill them with like crumpled up silver screen.
Right.
I remember that.
And then we truss warm them, just like around the mushroom.
Right. Anyway, I remember that. Yeah.
Let's go back to the four of us. Now, that was your last show, Derek, right? That you shot?
Yeah.
The Brother 50. Okay, let's go back to us. Here we are.
Yeah.
All right, man. That was a great little journey, guys.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed your work there. So awesome to have Derek.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for taking the time and to come on
pleasure,
and all that. And I learned a lot, man. This is great. Like, just learning more about, shooting things. And I got kind of some ideas about how to take better shots now. So let me ask you, that was the last show that you did. What have you been doing since then?
Well, I work as a commercial photographer. I do a lot of fashion, and I do a lot of web development as well.
Oh, okay.
I actually the other night, though, we did a 6-camera video shoot with friends of the brothers, and that was fun to do.
Oh, cool.
I think concerts are just starting, and we got this week, we got Peach Fest coming up.
Oh yeah,
so I'm really looking forward to this weekend. It'll be really the first festival in a year for me.
Yeah,
We got cool. We got Warren. We got Allman Betts playing there. let's see. Well, there's a lot of bands coming up.
Is that the one that Oysterhead is playing at? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oysterhead
String
is
string cheese, I think. Is
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's gonna be an awesome. Oh man, I wish I was going now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, you live out in that area, right?
Yeah. So that's Peaches in Scranton, PA. So it's about an
Yeah.
hour from New Jersey, where I reside.
Yeah, and
Cool,
they've been
man.
doing that one for a while, right?
Yeah. I mean, last year was the first time it was canceled. So this will be I think it's the 12th Peach. If I'm
Right.
correct.
Is
Yeah,
that
what was-
many? I did
I've
about
done them all.
I did like 6 or 7 of them with Allman Brothers and Greg. So
I've
problem is,
always wondered: is it related to the Allman Brothers production?
yeah,
wise, or-
we actually created that festival. We created Wani and we created the Peach.
Oh, all right.
Butch Trucks, who's no longer with us, that was his idea. And Bert's their manager, and he searched for a venue, and that was the one. They could do the stage up by the where the ski resort is, and then they have the amphitheater down below, so they could just rotating stages. They have the water park and plenty of parking, and I don't know if there's much camping there. Is there?
Oh, camping. Yeah.
Camping. So it's up in the mountains. It's kind of the perfect setting for the East
Yeah.
Coast. And so we did it year after year, and then it just kept going. It's happening.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely great.
Yeah.
festival.
Some pretty crazy bands going on.
Yeah.
What other festivals have you worked at, or what other bands have you done, Derek, outside of the couple that we talked about here?
Well, I mean, I don't work strictly with bands, but I've shot for a lot of publications like Guitar Player, Rolling Stone. So
Cool.
I've done a lot of things like the Clapton Crossroad festivals,
Yeah.
big events, and and I've shot just about every major act that's come through New York City at most of the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
then like Derek, like let's say there's Dwayne Allman's guitars or at the Beacon. He will come and do a photo shoot with guitars sometimes, stuff like that.
Right. So it's not just limited to bands. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
All right. Yeah, he's great, man. I'm looking forward to getting back on the road and seeing you out there. I'm not going to be at Peach, but after that, I'm going out. So
Yeah.
it's going
Yeah,
to
I think people are ready for some music. I mean, people haven't seen good music for a year, and so this is where it's just starting up. The
Yeah.
festivals.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think Peach might be like the first big festival, at least that I know of.
I think so. I
you
see
know.
a couple small little gigs, but nothing, over 30,000 type people.
Yeah,
So this'll-
yeah, totally.
I mean, it's July 4th weekend. It's 4-day festival.
yeah,
I think a lot of people are pent up and want to go to a blowout weekend.
absolutely, man. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Oh man, so I mean, people will probably see this after that, but I'm jealous.
So this is our episode 14.
I think this is episode 14. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we've been doing this
So-
since when did we actually start these? Like February, maybe, or
Yeah. So we're gonna go do one more episode, and we're
Yeah.
gonna kick it down for like 3 or 4 months till next winter.
yeah,
then
because
start it
we're
back up
all
again.
getting busy. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all working again, so getting ready to go back on the road. And Steve's got a couple big gigs, so hopefully I'll see you this fall in the East Coast, Derek.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's sign off, guys.